Good day, viewers. Welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television with me, Manir and Ali. Our guest today is Mr. Osita Okechukwu, a veteran of the APC and also the party before then, that's the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, under which Muhammadu Buhari and his group negotiated with ACN to form APC. So, Mr. Okechukwu, welcome to the program.
Thanks a million.
I see that you are so worried that you've just written an open letter to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu about the situation in which Nigerians are living. Does that suggest that you do not have access to him or means of communicating directly to him?
No, actually, the truth of the matter is that my open letter is to the presidential economic team that is made up of more than 3 persons. So I do not have the platform to address them. So I said, okay, as a foundation member of the APC and head of the country, is there any way I could let them know my little knowledge of the feedback from the environment? That actually we made a promise when we formed the APC. The merger that matured on 31st July 2013. And we promised Nigerians, and I'm one of those who was vehement in our discussion. I was a member of the merger committee. I was a member of the subcommittee of manifesto.
So you are a member of the kitchen cabinet that midwifed the APC?
I was one of the delegates of the defunct CPC. There were also delegates from the defunct ACN. There were delegates from the defunct DPP. There were delegates from a faction of the APGA. So it was an amalgam and the civil society. So I now said, one of the cardinal pledges we made was we told Nigerians of change.
Yes.
And I said down the line, the economic hardship in the country do not represent the change we're advocating. So I said, let me appeal, because it's an appeal that I carried out the appeal to the presidential committee. And I said, it seems from my own reckoning that they are derailing the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. I know actually their own challenges, that there is paucity of funds, and there is a big demand on the little resource on the ground. But I said there's a way it could be managed better.
But are you saying that it is these people in the Presidential Economic Committee that are running the economic policy and not the president? Because we thought the president has come out personally in his media chat to own up. So it's not somebody else that is like calling the shots.
No, as a student of the political science, I know as well that the 1999 Constitution, going by Section 5, vested the executive powers to Mr. President. But the same Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria also obliged Mr. President to delegate powers to either the Vice President, ministers, or anybody in the country he deems that will help him to do the job of execution of his functions. And that's why I was appealing to them that, for instance, when you look at the hardship in the country, it's very easy to talk of palliatives, but it has gone deeper than palliatives. It requires concrete steps to manage the little resource on the ground to be more prudent about the management, to prioritize the allocation of the resource. I know it's not much or very huge. And I also said, there's nothing wrong as well in looking at what the then Minister of Finance, Dr. Konji-Iweala, now President of WTO, did, looking into the aspect of pursuing debt relief. Because when you have a 49 trillion budget and you have about 16 trillion for debt servicing, that is more than the collective of what you allocated to defense, what you allocated to infrastructure, what you allocated to education and health.
So your gross, if I understand you well.
It's not a gross.
Okay, your complaint, what you think is not being done right, is more, you are addressing more the presidential economic team and not the president who is calling the shot, who says he's aware of the hardship that his policies have caused, but who is saying that he's steadying the course nevertheless.
No. Please don't mistake Mr. President or neither the Presidential Committee. You don't mistake it. The point of the matter is the framers of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, just like all constitutions in liberal democracy, are aware that to preside over 200 million Nigerians, covering almost 1 million square kilometers, that you require help. There's no government in life. Even my nuclear family, sometimes as well my kids and my wife will call me and say, hi, please, we want you to do this way. They're not saying that to denigrate me or to abuse me. They're advising on how best it should go. So what I did in simplicity is that I said that even one of the foremost scientists, Albert Einstein, he said it would be illogical to continue to do certain things over and over again and expect different results.
But again, to take you back to Mr. President, he says he is aware of these difficulties that his reform policies are causing, but that people should bear with him because he hopes that this is the medicine, the bitter medicine that the Nigerian economy needs. And you, in your own open letter, is suggesting that there is a lot of hardship, that there is need to tweak the way we are going or the way the government is going, so that this hardship is either eased or removed.
Yes. For instance, you cannot forget the issue that at a certain point in the country, a committee was set up called the Orosaya Report. It must be very hard to implement all, but why do you need to implement some? It's because if you have about 30%, or as they said, that the more they released for 2024 capital budget was 25%. Is it not important to also think, what do you do to increase the capital expenditure? Because that capital expenditure has its own advantages to the generality of the Nigerian people.
Can I take you back on you mentioned the Orosanye report, which early in this life of this government, they came out to say they want to implement it. And essentially it's a report that says you cut down on government, shut some ministries, shut some departments and what have you. But it appears the government is giving mixed messages because it's been busy creating new ministries, new departments and what have you, universities almost on a weekly basis. Does that show any coherence in the government's way of doing things?
No, what I'm saying is that I'm relying on my own experience in life for some decades. That even you, your wife, will do her own bit of advising you. But if you set up some brilliant, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, nobody can say he's not a brilliant person. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Alhaji Atiku, His Excellency Atiku Bagudu, you cannot say he's not a brilliant person. That's why Mr. President assembled some of them for them to be advisory. And I'm saying, no matter once in a while, I will see Mr. President. But I cannot be more influential to his policies and implementation, more than those he nominated as his thinking board. And I'm appealing to those thinking board. I said, gentlemen, what do we do? Understand the challenges. I'm not trying to overlook the challenges. But I'm saying that there are certain things you could do if you call for debt review or re-examination. Even the creditors will say with you.
But
what do you do?
But will the creditors listen when they see you being properly get? That is, you are just spending on luxuries, on presidential yachts, on presidential aircraft, on new vehicles, on building a residence or completing a residence for the vice president that he doesn't need, because as we speak, that residence hasn't been occupied. So will creditors listen to you?
No, what you are saying, you are trying to talk about a zero-sum game. I'm not doing a zero-sum game. I'm saying, those who have the ears of Mr. President, gentlemen, please do reconsider. They're more brilliant than myself. But in spite of that, no matter how brilliant you are, you still need inputs. They are not like me, who is on the streets, who listen to the people. I live in Abuja. I've been living here for 30-something years. That does not mean I do not go to the east and the west. And when I come there, I do not need any protocol for people to mix with me or to enter. If I go to Kaduna or Kano and I said I need me a cooker, I don't need to go to anywhere. I go to the place where they sell it, but they cannot. Mr. President cannot. So what we're trying to do is to bring back the feedback that, look, because we know that the president is a progressive. In Lagos, he's called a city boy. He mixes with people, but he can't mix that way today. What do we do for him? Is to say, sir, Your Excellency, there are problem here, there are problem there. We owe it as a duty. I do not want the APC to go into the 2027 elections with guns. Rather, I want it to be seamless, because the people are waiting for us. They are saying, when the PDP was there, we told them we are going to do better than them. I would be ashamed if we do not do better than them.
And now most people are complaining that they are worse off under the substitute to the PDP, and many are considering giving you the PDP treatment. That's what happened to PDP in the 2015 election.
That's what I'm referring to. I'm saying, for instance, that we don't need to go that way. That there are certain things we could do, we won't go that way. You can imagine, Mr. President had done so well in certain aspects. He had established like the livestock ministry with an intendment to curtail, if not to stop, the farmer sellers crisis. Because when you quarantine the cows in houses, they do not need to step on crops. And at any rate, they will produce more meat, they will produce more milk for the citizenry. Those are good aspects. in that good aspect, you need to prudently manage funds to fund it or attract foreign direct investment. That is happening. And luckily for the Nigerian state, Mr. President he had harvested what I should call the non-alignment doctrine that made him to have cordial relationship with the East and the West. He's freely in France, he's free in China, and if you are free in France, it means you are free in America, you are free in Britain, because there's that kind of division.
Very
so
important
when you are free,
point you are making there, but I would like us to go on a short break and resume the conversation thereafter. Viewers, it is 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Mr. Osita Okechukwu, a member of the ruling APC, that's the All Progressive Congress. Welcome back. It is still 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Mr. Osita Okechukwu, a notable member, if I may say so, of the ruling APC. You were there at the beginning when this party was formed, and you've been in government. You served in Voice of Nigeria as Director General under Buhari's government, and now you are more or less maybe a bystander, so to say, which may explain why you had to write an open letter to the economic team, complaining, saying that maybe you don't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Why are you, like the National Assembly members, concerned that the budget of 2024 has been so poorly executed, that is so far only 24 or 5% of that budget has been implemented as far as capital is concerned? Why is that worrying to you?
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just advising, appealing. Because when I noticed that those who are not supposed to be hungry, and that a lot of Nigerians cannot put on their table, why would I be worried? And I'm telling the Presidential Economic Committee that Mr. President had created a harvest ground for you to explore international investment. I know of a Chinese group that want to invest in rail line to cover the Eastern Corridor so that they can be standard gauge like the Western Corridor. If you know that there is such a company, a group in China, why should you be doing narrow gauge in your budget when there is a group that said they are going to fund a standard gauge rail line? Standard gauge has about 150 kilometers per hour, which means more passengers would like to enter there more than the 60 kilometers per hour of narrow gauge. And if it's about haulage, you like your goods to arrive at the destination on time, which means there's a preference for the standard gauge, since we are not going to speed rail. And I said, luckily, Mr. President is friendly to the Chinese. He's friendly with the Americans. He's friendly with the British. He's friendly with Germans. He's friendly with the Middle East. In fact, they are bringing something. So since they are interested in investing, why don't you bring down and prioritize your funding, local funding, to cool down to allow the Nigerians breathe. Because if the Nigerians are angry, nobody would like to invest where people are angry.
But going by your submission, is there any country in the world that has been developed by foreigners, whether they are Chinese or Americans or Middle Eastern? Is it not Nigerians who are better placed to develop the Nigerian economy?
No, I will challenge you to that. There's no country actually that made it. most of those companies you see in China are in partnership with foreigners. Don't deceive yourself. Tells you that manufactures electric vehicles more than any other before the Chinese started. It's owned by Elon Musk. And so is Toyota. Toyota is in China. So is Nissan. The Saudi Arabia, the Aramco, it took off as Standard Oil. It didn't start as the Sultanate of the Sultanate Saud business. No. It started as Standard Oil.
But I've had arguments.
I'm coming.
I've had arguments that
I'm coming. What
is
I'm
it
saying,
the government that people will listen to? That's those companies wanting to come into Nigeria, or is it what they see happening in the country when they see businesses exiting the country because of the harsh economic situation?
Is that if the Presidential Advice Economic Committee team rejigs or reverses their gear, they will, with the little resource we have, they will address the local issue to make Nigerians to breed. Then advance to harvest those diplomatic channels Mr. President had opened while he's traveling around the world. And if you do so, I know of a group that are clamoring to invest in gas power plants with their own money. What are they waiting for? They need you to stem down, because immediately the people are hungry. You have all manner of crisis. You have a manner of, we're now dovetailing into a country where even those you might not call bandits are behaving like bandits. What is banditry? So what is the English word bandit?
Can I take
it's
you
taking
back?
Unfair advantage of another.
Good.
Why do you take unfair advantage of yourself? Because you're angry. If you're angry, your decision making changes.
So can I take you back
who could, with the little resource well managed. Luckily, some governors are doing well.
Sorry, Mr. Osita, can I ask you, will the economic team listen to you rather than Mr. President, who is saying that he is on a path of reform, which he is aware will bring difficulties, but he wants to carry on nevertheless? So is it you reckon that these economic advisors will listen to, or is it the president who thinks he's on the right path no matter the difficulties that you've been highlighting?
No, it's just like what you're saying, whether I'm complaining. No. I return back to my profession, public relations, dusted up my papers and office. I'm okay myself, but I'm not using myself as an example. I'm talking of the people. And I'm saying that one or two rejig will bring Nigerians to breed. And when they breed, look at it. You are engaging in excessive taxation. Huge borrowing. Is it necessary? And I'm trying to advise that there's a way you might not borrow. One, you become more prudent in management of your funds. And if you do so, as you said earlier, the creditors will know. You cry out, please, let's look into these debts so that my people will breed. Because their happiness, because that same 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under Chapter 2, where it talks about the fundamental objective and directive principle of state policy, he said the primary purpose of governance is the welfare of the people and the security. So
and none of which appear to be the priority of your government, as the APC government.
No. If you ask those your friends in the military, the APC government from Buhari to date had expended more fund. It's not something we talk publicly.
Yeah, but the problem has escalated.
That's what I'm saying.
It hasn't been contained. Even Boko Haram now appears to be getting deadly.
No. Let nobody tell you that. Let nobody tell you.
You mean the farmers who have been killed yesterday in Borno State.
No,
That didn't happen.
Guess what? Guess what? Even in advanced countries of the world, some of those things happen. But I'm saying that President Tinubu, just like President Muhammad Buhari, is investing huge on the security apparatus, they know the import of getting security of the people. But I'm also saying that on the welfare axis, it's not about palliatives. It's about those things that could help generality of the people to have
That's more reasonable inflation, not the galloping inflation that we've had where people cannot afford food and all of that, where people are complaining about rent. The best way to do it is what I told you.
Yes. Be prudent in the management of what you have and advance for foreign direct investment. No country that advanced without foreign input. No country. What
about the taxation? You yourself complain about high taxation. The president is bent again. He's not listening. He's not listening even to his vice president who chairs the Economic Council, all the governors, a lot of interest groups. He just wants to ram his new tax bills.
I don't think so. I don't think you are correct. But
what's the correct reading?
What I'm saying, that to be honest with you, if you are in his own wisdom, he said, you, please come and advise me. We owe it a duty to make a little input to those ones. And because they stand a better position. If they give Mr. President a 2-page memo, it will be more reasonable than if I do it.
Because but if I understand you well, your main message is that people are hurting and Mr. President and the economic team ought to listen.
No, I'm saying that they need to rejig. It's not just listening. It's about rejig. That if you continue doing the same thing all over again, it might be illogical to expect different results.
Very good point to end this session of this interview. Thank you very much for coming onto the program, Mr. Osita Okechukwu.
I appreciate it. Thanks a million.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep it with us.